welcome to the CrackOn podcast, hosted by me, John Saunders. CrackOn! Hey guys, hello there. Welcome to another edition of the CrackOn podcast, hosted by myself, John Saunders. And today is a special edition. It's the last one of the series. So, Series 3, Episode 12 in the bag. And today I've got great pleasure in introducing Chris Delaney, who is the employment king. So if you've got a problem with an interview, and every time you go into an interview, you sort of feel anxious or you find them tough to go into, this is the one to listen to. He is the man. So without further ado, Chris Delaney, crack on. Morning, Chris. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, very good, John. Thanks for inviting us down. I'm loving the backdrop with all the cricket bats.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, I've told you the story about the cricket anyway. So I've been, my boy, he's not anywhere near professional, but we're on tour with my boy playing cricket. So, so they luckily Seaford Cricket Club have allowed me to use their backdrop to host this today. So, yeah, thanks for that, mate. How you doing?
Maybe
this
that should
morning?
be the theme of the pod. That should be the theme of the podcast, shouldn't it? You go to a different sports arena for each podcast.
I tell you what, they made Series 4. I watch this space. Series 4, watch this space. I love that. I love that. So, yeah, we'll get straight into it then, mate. What does CrackOn mean to you, mate?
CrackOn to me is so important because I think one of the reasons why people don't succeed in life is because they don't take opportunities. I have this attitude that when an opportunity comes, just crack on, go for it. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to get it wrong. You're going to really mess up. But if you crack on and do it, you'll achieve so much more in life.
Yeah, I agree. Have you got an example of that? I always trick people up. I always say this first two questions, but have you got an example of that when you're saying, well, you saw an opportunity and you went and cracked on and did it?
Yeah, so my personal story is all about this. I left school dyslexic, couldn't read, couldn't write. I had a lisp as well, and I kind of ended up volunteering to get some skills. But I basically got a really good opportunity to become a forklift truck instructor. So at the time I was working in this warehouse, low skill job. I was on £1 an hour. It was absolutely terrible. And this person came up to me doing a forklift truck course. And I was great on the truck. I was a kinesthetic learner, driving a truck around the chicane, lifting up the pallets. I was the king of that truck. I was so good on that truck. But my colleagues, I was amazing. But my colleagues were really nervous and anxious because it was like this big, scary machine that they had to climb on top. And the guy teaching us was like, Chris, you're going to pass the test. And he went to my colleagues, you're going to fail the test. This guy was not a motivational speaker. Right. So I went over to him and I did the visualization technique, the same technique that I use my phobia clients now, but I did it to them back in the day, not really realizing what it was. And they got in the truck and it was great. It was really confident and passed the test. Anyway, a year later, the guy who taught us to drive the truck came down to my workplace and said, do you remember who I am? And I was like, you're the guy who taught me to drive the truck. No, wow. I'm the managing director of the organization. Wow. I was like, oh,
brilliant.
He said, the reason I came down that day is because the instructor was off ill. So I came down just to deliver your course rather than to have to cancel it. And I always remember you doing the magic whisper. You're the guy who did the magic whisper and made those people who was nervous into really confident people.
Right.
So we talk about you at every team meeting and we've got a great opportunity come up. We want to offer you a job to be a forklift truck instructor. So I'm this low-skilled warehouse worker on less than minimum wage. hadn't been invented in England at that time. I was like, this sounds amazing, but I'm so nervous and I'm so scared. And then he says, the course costs £3,000. I was like, what? 3,000? I'm on minimum wage. I got 30 quid in my bank. I'm eating beans and toast for my tea. That's how skin I am. And I thought, it's a bit of a con, this. And he's seen this on my face. I said, no, we're going to pay for your course. We're going to mentor you. We're going to support you. But I was really nervous at the time because I was still struggling with dyslexia. I've overcome my lisp by this time. I've been getting speech therapy. But my dyslexia was quite a barrier. And I thought, you just got to go for it. This is a golden opportunity. So I went for it. I said, and then my life changed after that.
Yeah, amazing, mate. That's a great example of that. That's probably, that's got to be the best example I've heard so far, mate. So you topped that one. Well done.
I want a little certificate saying best example.
Yeah. I am going to send it to you, mate. I'm going to send you a certificate on that one. So next question that I ask everyone is about idols and mentors. So have you had anyone important in your life that's really sort of steered you and mentored you, or anyone you've looked up to as an idol?
So I bet when you ask this question, people say stuff like, I don't know, Tony Robbins or, there's some big famous person. But I don't think they're the best. Well, they are great mentors, but they're not the best mentors.
Yeah.
Mentors are the small people in your life, aren't they? The friend who sort of says, just go for it, or someone who encourages you, or the person who's really positive in your life. And I have quite a lot of them. I have quite a lot of people who just unconsciously like promote and encourage me and get me to do different things. But to do a shout out to my girlfriend is definitely like my best mentor. She's always encouraging, always supporting, waking me up for this podcast, which is 7 a.m, and that sort of stuff.
For everyone, this is quite a early one for me as well, mate. So I don't tend to do it this early, but.
But I do think it's the little people who kind of like just, push you and encourage you compared to like some multi-billionaire who's, create a business, who's a great mentor. But I think sometimes your close friends, your close relatives are the people who really support you.
Yeah. And to be honest, mate, you're not the only one that has said a fellow, but now CrackOn podcaster actually lives down this way where I am now in Brighton. Luke, Ralph did a big shout out for his other half as well. And I remember it because actually it is that those people. I mean, for example, we've all been through ups and downs, and I lost a business about 4 years ago, and my wife, I had to go home and tell my wife that we were losing the house, and to have that person in your life and think, well, actually, to go through those low points. Everyone else can, I can look up to as well as I can, but the person I really respect and my rock is my other half, and I totally buy that, so that's cracking. Yeah, lovely. I love that. Definitely. I love that. So
I also think as well, like with mentors as well, mentors don't have to be someone like you pay and get out. Like a mentor can be someone in a book, can't they? It can be just a piece of advice or a quote from someone. We always think we should have one mentor, but you shouldn't. You should have hundreds of different mentors in your life.
Yeah. So on that note, I take it that you sort of had coaches in your life, and looking at your background, and you've had people that do influence and take you on a journey. I take it. Is that am I right in saying that?
Yeah, definitely. So like, especially when I got my first job doing that forklift truck instructor, like my boss was a big mentor. Like, gave me this opportunity, supported me, gave me advice, like massively encouraged me. And that was like the first stepping stone into this sort of life of coaching and supporting. And then as I became like a life coach and stuff, I always had other life coaches who I'd meet up with and have like proper coaching sessions. And just constantly have people just to, sometimes you just need to soundboard. I'm quite a positive guy now, confident. I'm always, like you said, you always crack on and take opportunities, but you still need that soundboard. You need someone to reflect off. You need someone to challenge you. I've got a couple of guys I do public speaking workshops with, and they constantly challenge me. A couple of years ago, I wrote a play. I loved the theatre, and I thought, I'm going to write a play. I'm going to write and direct a play for like a local fringe show. And I worked about a comedy play, and I wrote this thing, and I thought, this is good. This is go. Do you know something's go? And I was like, this is going to be. I'm going to be touring this very soon. And my friends were doing a public speaking with. One's an actor, and one's like a TEDx coach. So I got the actor down to do it, and I thought, there's a little part for like a public speaking. I'll get the other guy down. I got him down, dead excited, and he was reading it really quick, and I could see him kind of like looking at it, and I thought, they love it. They love this. They absolutely love it. Yeah. And they looked at me and went, this is terrible. This is so, like, your characters has got no identities. I can get your story, like, I really ripped it apart. But it was so good that they did that, because it made me like kind of look at it from a different perspective, rewrite it, and then when we eventually put the show on, we sold out. It was quite a good success.
It's great. It's great. But I mean, so talk us through. I mean, why I brought a coach is because obviously we both know how important the coach is. I mean, we've seen the Olympics just being 65 medals. Unbelievable, and all of them talk about their backroom staff, their coaches in the background. How important, you've had coaches in the background as well. You are a coach, I coach as well. We all, they are an important, integral part of actually just cracking on, because a lot of people get stuck, mate, don't they?
Yeah, definitely. One of the best things about a coach, because a coach does lots of different things, but one of the best things is they make you accountable. When you're trying to achieve things, you sometimes go, you know what, I can put that off tomorrow. Oh, I'm not going to put 100% into that. I'll just put 99% into that.
Yeah.
Or instead of getting up to, for Olympian to do one at 4 a.m, I'll get up at 8 o'clock. A coach will not allow you to do that. When you're accountable to someone, you're more likely to take action. And that's one of the best things about a coach. They make you accountable. They're going to ask you those hard questions. They're going to get you to reflect, and they're going to get you to realize your strengths as well as the areas of development.
Yeah. So so clients, let's start right from the beginning. So let's give the listener an overview of Chris's life thing. Give us a whirlwind tour of where it all started for you.
So like I said, I was dyslexic, left school with no qualifications. I had this list, worked in low-skilled jobs, production, warehouse, and that sort of stuff at the beginning. Got this great opportunity to become a forklift truck instructor. And I thought, right, I need to jump on that. So I started trying to improve my reading, improve my writing. I do this visualization technique. So one of the misspelt common words in the UK is separate. People spell it SEPARATE or SEPERATE. So PARA or PERA.
I'm going to write down now exactly how I spell it, mate. I'll see how well I get on.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do this in workshops. I always get people to write it down first. So the way I remember to spell it.
SEPERATE, no?
How do you spell it?
SEPERATER.
Yeah, so 50% of the population will spell it that way, and 50% the other way. So the way you remember, the way you can remember to spell it correctly is imagine being in an airplane, just about to do a parachute jump. The door opens, the wind's blowing in your face. You look down, you're miles in the air. The clouds are that big, and you jump out, and your heart's pounding, and your stomach's dropping out, and you fall into the ground, and then you pull the parachute, and the parachute lifts up. The way I remember to spell separate is the bit in the middle is spelled PARA. Para for parachute.
Nice. I'll never forget that. I'm hoping the listeners won't either, because that's a cracker.
It's great. So this is what I had to kind of learn. Like when you got things that stop you, when you got barriers in your life. So mine was like my spelling and my academic ability. You have to find different ways to overcome it. I remember being in school doing drama, and because of my lisp, I really struggled to spell different words. And my drama teacher, I thought this was a great advice. Said if you can't say it that way, just say a different word with the same meaning. And I remember thinking, God, there is loads of shortcuts in life. I think there are loads of little tricks and tips that you can use to be successful. So I started to learn to read, started to learn to write. I was like trying to advance my career. And I always loved the idea of getting someone to be more confident. That was what I kind of like. I knew if I can help people be more confident, that'll help people to be successful in their life. So I started learning about life coaching. That got me to NLP, and NLP got me to hypnotherapy. And I was like kind of learning these skills to help people become confident. And then I thought, what is the one area in someone's life, if I could help someone in one area of their life that would have a big difference in their whole life, what would it be? And I thought job interviews. We're all scared of job interviews, but if you're good at job interviews, you often get the job offer, you get the pay rises, you can choose the company you want to work in. So you have a perfect work-life balance. So I transitioned from kind of life coaching into interview coaching.
So tell me, it's very interesting, actually. I wouldn't mind delving a bit into a couple of personal questions on that. But so life coaching, in your eyes, what is a life coach? Because obviously we've spoke about this off camera. We've both done NLP. I'm a practitioner. You're a master. And I will be a master one day. I've got to do that at some point. I interviewed Laura previously on the podcast. But talk me through what exactly a life coach does.
I love that word master as well. You're a master at NLP.
Yeah. No,
I'm going to get a crowd or something.
Well. I was bowing at the same time. You're the master.
It's funny life coaching, isn't it? Because every second person's a life coach these days.
Yeah, that's why I was asking, because I think for me, maybe like this is a bit of a personal session as well, but I'm in that position now where I'm thinking, right, do I go business coaching or do I go life coaching? Because actually, all I end up doing, even in the business world, we all know business coaches, yes, they get into the skin of the business, but it's the individual they're looking at. So is there any difference between a business coach and a life coach? Well, is there? That was maybe the question I was going to ask.
Yeah, so basically coaching's the same, because you just ask coaching style questions, so often like solution focused questions. Yeah. So instead of saying to you, John, did you have a nice weekend, where you might say yes or no, if I want a certain response, I might say to you, what was the best thing that you did last weekend? Because then you're only going to pull out the positives from that question. So the power in coaching is the power of the questions that the coach asks individuals. Generally, life coaching, it's about helping people achieve goals in their lives or milestones in their life, where business coaching is often getting the managing director of a business to be more successful in that business by getting them first to reflect on their current life or their current business, what's working, what's not working too well. Think about what it is they want to achieve, and then asking them those powerful questions to move them forward. From a business point of view as well, life coaching is so general, isn't it? That's why people have career coaches or business coaches or health coaches or whatever. More because, you know, life coaching is too generic in terms of marketing yourself.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, mate, because you say you're right, because there's so many, life coaches out there that you look at it and think, well, actually, am I a life coach? Or I love the way you've specifically got yourself into that world of interviews. And we spoke about, I am going to bring my sister into it. She's really terrible at interviews, right? She's terrible. She gets so nervous. And I've said to her, look, I know I can help you, right? With my NLP background I know I've got the tools to help you out. We've not really got around to it. I'm not gonna blame myself, but my sister needs to sort of want to be coached, doesn't it? You know, if she doesn't want to be coached, I can't coach her. So talk me through, you know, you've got a book out, and let's delve into the world of interviews then. Talk me through it, and how has it all come about that you specified into that area?
So it came about because when I left that forklift truck job, the guy moved to Australia actually and closed down the company. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have to go back to the warehousing jobs. I thought I was going to take a couple of steps back. And this is what we always have, these limiting beliefs in our head, don't we? You need to get rid of that voice in your head and just start focusing on your future. But I ended up applying for a couple of jobs, and one of them was being an employment trainer, where we used to help people on benefits in the job centre. They come to a course and we gave them 2 weeks kind of support and training to pass job interviews and do CVs and that sort of stuff. And I used to use a lot of my life coaching techniques in there to help him become more confident. But basically the book came about because of COVID. So COVID happened. I thought, lockdown, what can I do? And I started doing lots of research on job interviews, and all the academic research out there is designed to help employers predict the job performance of applicants so they get the best team in their organization. So I read all this research about that, and I was able to flip it to make it relevant to the applicant to help them pass the job interview. So the 3 rules for a successful job interview are: rule number 1, identify the job criteria. So you know what it is that you're going to talk about. So that's like the job duties of the job role, the culture of the organization, and the management and leadership style of that particular department or company. Rule number 2, be a self-promoter. In England, we are so reserved. We hate saying how great and wonderful we are. In a job interview, it's expected. You need to say you're great. You need to give best day examples. You need to be positively promoting yourself. And then rule number 3 is communicate with confidence. You're a great example of this, John, because you sometimes get excited in your voice, your tonality changes all the time, your volume goes up and down, you gesture, you nod, you have strong eye contact, and you smile a lot. This is what confident communication is. It's getting your audience interested in what you're talking about.
I was going to say, you picking up on what I'm doing now, mate? Because all I'm doing is smiling and nodding. So
yeah. The last 2 bits, I was like looking at you as I was talking, and you started smiling and nodding. So that just came in.
Yeah. You got me engaged, mate. I'm in. Good rapport, good mirroring.
Yeah. And confidence, that's what confidence is. Confidence creates likability and rapport. We always love kind of like the charismatic, confident person. We find them attractive, don't we? You see someone confident, you find them attractive. And that builds up likability. But in a job interview, if the interviewer likes you and then they think you're suitable for the role, they search for evidence to back up that opinion. So I really like John. So, I like that he's nodding. I like his tonality. I like his shirt. I like that he's into sports. You start finding things that you like about that person. And in the job interview, you kind of go, they've got that skill, which is good for that job role. They've got that knowledge, which is good for that project. You search for evidence to back up your beliefs.
Yeah, love it. So, but the magic question is, so you got to that point where, interviews were well, where you could see people gain a bit of confidence. You talk us through the NLP. Where did the NLP fit in, because we were talking about hypnosis offline. So I'm a trained hypnosis practitioner, but again, I'm not the master. But I'm hoping to get there. So how did the NLP influence? Because NLP's had such a massive impact on me. We spoke about it. I've spoken about it previously with Laura. Where did that come into your life, and how impactful has that been?
For me, it was so impactful. What I was always searching for is I wanted to get to the stage because I was kind of specializing in more like anxiety and confidence early on before I kind of linked that into interviews. So just anxiety and confidence and phobias in general. So I always wanted to learn the technique where I could meet someone and in 10 seconds click my fingers and then they would be cured. When I first started, it used to take about 10 sessions. Hypnotherapy used to take about 10 sessions to cure phobia. But then NLP kind of came along, and you can get rid of a phobia in like one session now in like 60 minutes.
What would you do then from an NLP to NLP? How would you? I came to you with a phobia within interviews. Let's say not a phobia of interviews, but let's say I had a phobia of spiders. What sort of techniques would you use on me?
So there's kind of like 3 steps. So the first thing is that when you think of the job interview or spiders, you automatically get this emotional, fight or flight fear, and you kind of want to run away from that spider. So if you get someone thinking about it straight away, they'll have that feeling and won't be concentrating. So the first thing you do actually is get someone into a deep, relaxed state. So rhythmic breathing, meditation, in hypnosis, you imagine people walking down steps. Anything just to get him to reduce the heart rate and to relax. Right. In that relaxed state, you then bring in the stimuli that they're scared of, so the spider. But what I often do is imagine them, get them to imagine the spider or the situation really far away. So they're feeling calm and relaxed and they can see this thing really far away. Yeah. And you gradually, in their mind's eye, walk them towards that thing. And then reinforce that you're still relaxed, you're still calm, you're still confident. And then they get to the stimuli and they still feel relaxed, calm and confident. And then you can future pace that as well. So getting to imagine it in the future, feeling relaxed, calm and confident. And you just embed this feeling of relaxed, calm and confident in that stimuli. One of the key factors, though, to help anyone overcome a phobia, fear or anxiety quickly is the reason why they book the session. So as an example, you'll find people with spider phobias, they'll have had that phobia for 10, 20 or 30 years and they've done nothing about it. Sometimes as well, people quite like having a phobia or fear because just imagine being in a relationship and you've been married for 30 years and maybe, the love isn't as strong as it was when you first met. Yeah. So, you're in this house, you do your own thing and then, you come together every so often and have a chat and stuff. But when you're scared of that spider, your partner comes over and hugs and protects you and shows lots of love. Why the hell would you want to get rid of that? So people sometimes keep fears and phobias because there's an extra gain that they get. Yeah. And most people who come to me for spider phobias come because their daughter or son is starting to get that same spider and they realize that they're getting it through observational learning. So I always get them to focus on what's the reason for this? What's the fear you're getting away from? What is it you're trying to avoid in your life? So often it's someone else getting that fear or phobia for the spider. With a job interview, it's often that they're sick of the job that they're in. They're so stressed at work, they hate the boss or they hate how the work's affecting their life that they come to a point where they go, right, I need to start going to job interviews. I need to overcome that fear and phobia. So work out what's really motivating you first and then do the relaxation, visualize the thing far away, get closer to it, and then embed that with more relaxation afterwards.
Yeah, cracking, mate. I feel more relaxed already. Because the interview process is pretty, for people, I suppose I'm quite blasé with it because I suppose I've always been quite a confident guy. I've always felt like, I've not had many interviews in my time. I remember the one interview, I'll tell you a quick story. So when I was 16, I went my first ever job interview. And I remember it was over Cumbrian shopping centre where I'm from. I walked up. I was wearing shorts. I was wearing my flip-flops. And I had a top on. And I walked in this room and everyone had suits on, right? And I was sat there with my flip-flops. I walked in the room and the woman said, no. I was sent packing, mate. I'm surprised I didn't have some sort of lasting traumatic sort of memories from that. But it did make me chuckle, actually. I was never getting that job. So I didn't get my first ever job interview. So that's
it's funny as well, the way you present at the beginning, so what you wear, so if you're wearing like loose fitting clothes, tight fitting clothes, flip flops and shorts, or a suit or whatever, your posture, your gestures, your height, if you're obese or your average weight, your ethnicity, your sex, your perceived age, all this information, as soon as the employer comes downstairs to meet you, creates an unconscious bias. They'll have a likability factor about you based on all these different things. And that affects the interview as well. That initial, I like you or don't like you for whatever reason, is part of the filter that helps them decide how to take your interview answers.
It's really interesting. Let's just hold on that for 2 seconds, because the unconscious, obviously we understand the unconscious mind, myself and yourself. We've done a lot of work within that, delved into it. Talk about, because what can someone do? Let's really delve into an interview. Let's go into, how does somebody get themselves in a position that they can affect that going into that interview? Because the unconscious, other person thinks of you. How can you change that? How can you affect that?
I remember going for a job interview, and in this sector, like helping people, and it's mainly females work in this sector rather than males.
Right.
And my name's Chris, which can be taken as a male name, or Chris or Christine, a female name.
Yeah.
And this female interview came downstairs, and as she came downstairs and looked at me, she had like the look of shock on her face, and straight away, she must have just said what was in her head. She went, "Oh, I thought you was going to be female." So she just perceived, she had an unconscious bias that I was going to be female, based on my application form. So I knew that was like a potential negative, and it might affect the job interview. So straight away, I tried to reframe that situation. So I said, "Oh, it's really interesting. A lot of people think I'm going to be female because I have quite a lot of feminine traits that are really good for this role. I'm dead empathetic. I'm a really good communicator. I'm a really good listener." And then she started to smile then, because she saw that I was relating my skills to the job role that I was applying for.
Good. That's a really good bounce back. That's really good. So, I mean, again, let's stick with the interview, because I think the interview, this for me is really important for, any listener that is listening to it. We'll go into your book in a minute, because I think the fact that you've brought a book out, I don my hat, because I think that's amazing. But talk to me about some real, I know you've given a few tips there, but some real hardcore tips for somebody that's at home struggling with interviews. I know ultimately they can reach out to you, which we're going to give you details later on, mate. But give some real sort of valued sort of nuggets of what they can do just to sort of get themselves in a better frame of mind.
Yeah. So there's 2 things then. So one is you can affect the unconscious bias. So stuff like people post on social media all the time. They post about the tea, the car, and all that sort of stuff, which is fine. Yeah. But what you could do is set up a professional social media feed, especially on LinkedIn, where you're talking about industry-related information, sector-related theories and models, giving people advice and support, asking loads of questions. So when the employer searches your social media, I think about 30% of employers search people's social media feed, they'll create a positive unconscious bias, because they'll see you as an industry expert, someone who's always talking about sector-related information. So you create the halos effect, the positive unconscious bias. To get yourself into the right mindset, then, is you need to do 3 things. One, you need to prepare your interview answers. So many people spend 45 minutes preparing for a job interview, where most successful applicants spend 4 to 5 hours, and people who nail job interviews all the time spend 4 to 5 days preparing for the job interview. If you write down the interview question and answer 3 times, each time you repeat that answer, it will get a little bit better, because you'll shave off the rubbish and you'll add some gold nuggets in there. But the answer gets lodged into your mind. So when you get asked these questions in the interview, the answer just automatically comes out. So you come across as being very confident at your communication. The second one is go to public speaking class or go to improv groups, because standing on stage, speaking to loads of people in a public speaking setting is just such a great skill in general in life, but it helps you nail the job interview. I think improv classes are the best. If someone gives you a banana and says, imagine you're on safari and an elephant's running towards you, and you have to act something out in that moment, that's the best way in it to learn the skill of answering any awkward or curveball interview questions. I can answer the banana thing, so I can easily ask a question about my skills or my strengths.
Yeah.
And then the third thing as well is to remember that most interviewers are just as nervous as you are. And the reason that most interviewers are just as nervous as you are is because it's only HR teams who are trained in like unconscious bias, recruitment processes, the structured interview format. So if you're applying for high-paid job roles, you'll get interviewed by HR and recruitment teams. They know what they're doing, and they're very confident in that arena. If you're getting interviewed by your potential line manager, it's quite likely that they've not been trained in interviews. And they also have a bit of imposter syndrome. They're also nervous and lack a little bit of confidence. And if you know that, it makes you feel a bit more powerful and a bit more confident in the job interview. So the three things are practice. Practice makes perfection. Create a bit of positive unconscious bias by making your social media feed all about the sector that you're in. And then remember that the interviewer is also anxious and nervous, just like you are.
I love that. I love that last one actually about the interviewer being as nervous as yourself. And something that popped straight into my head is like, because I run a lot, or I do a few triathlons, and I always think that, you know, when you're going through that pain, you look at someone else, they're going through exactly the same pain. All right, they're going through exactly the same pain, if not more. So you know you're not there on your own. You've also got to understand that when you are competing against someone or you're with somebody, you know, they're going through the same feelings. So it's then whoever wants it more. And I love that. Those three are gold. So I think those sort of ones for any listener that are going for an interview. So let's flick straight into it. So if someone sat there and they really are struggling with an interview, how do they reach out to you? You know, what's the best way to reach out in your, you know, I know they've obviously now it's time to plug the book as well, mate, because it'd be good to put that in there.
I always forget to plug the book as well.
Yeah,
yes, so my
chuck
book.
it in there now, mate. Chuck it in there. That's what it's about, isn't it? Chuck it in there.
Yeah, so the book kind of talks about all this stuff about how to frame answers, how to reframe situations, how to improve your confidence. It's called What is Your Interview Identity? So there's 16 interview identities, 16 ways the employer perceives you, and that creates a filter that makes them want to listen to you, find evidence to see that you are suitable for this role, or to ignore you and trying to end that interview straight away. So It's actually released officially the 1st of September, but it's on pre-order at the moment. And then you can find me on my website, which is employmentking.co.uk.
Cracking. Well, the Employment King, I mean, there'll be loads of, I'm going to pass this on to my sister, definitely. So, because she'll be mad for it. She's stuck in a bit of a rut at the moment. I think we spoke about it as well. People just get stuck in a rut and can't see the wood through the trees, as that saying goes. And she's really, you know, she'll quite openly say she gets herself in all flustered in interviews. And, you know, I think she'll love that as well. I'll definitely get her that pre-recorded book as well, mate, because she'll love that.
One way to get over that being flustered in job interview, that's a big barrier for like a lot of people. So we get asked a question, we're like, right, we've got to answer straight away. What should I say? And then you got this thing going, you're not good enough for this job. You're not good enough for this job. So you get these short, snappy answers filled with filler words. And the research shows that long, descriptive, data-driven answers often score higher points. So what you really need to do, though, is slow down that being asked a question and then you answering it. So 2 easy tips to help with this is when they ask you a question, ask the interviewer a question. Okay. So, and they get shocked by this because they don't realize you're going to do this. So they might say something to you like, tell me a time when you were successful. So most people go, okay, well, the time I was successful was blah, blah, blah. What you do, you go, would you like me to tell you a time when I was successful in work? Or would you like to tell me a time when I was successful outside of work? So what this does is the interview now has to answer your question. And they probably go, oh, well, it doesn't really matter. Maybe no, it doesn't matter. You tell me what you want to tell. So they get a little bit flustered.
Yeah.
But what happens here, it allows you, while they're being flustered and answering your question, to go, okay, what example should I use that I prepared a couple of nights ago? It just gives you 2 or 3 more seconds. If they ask you a question where you can't think of a good answer, a good question to repeat back to them, all you do is go. So the example I want to do, having a glass of water, again, just gives you 2 seconds. The interviewers expect that you're nervous, allow you to drink water. They're not bothered about that. Just gives you a couple of seconds to relax, because when you're attacked, your fight and flight mode kicks in. You stop digesting food, your short-term memory disappears, and you're panicking a lot. And what you need to do is get back into your rest and digest, your natural waking state where your heartbeat's just normal, it's sending oxygen to your brain, your body's working as it should, and that allows your thoughts to be uninterrupted and allows you to find the examples that you've been preparing for the last couple of nights.
Yeah, I love that. I love that because actually, I was thinking about I don't know why it popped in my head then, but when you said ask the interviewer a question, I'd probably, in my nervous state, if I was that nervous, I'd just go, what do you think? Or something like that. You'd be like, well, no, mate, I'm asking you the questions. You're meant to be answering them. Yeah. So, yeah, what do you think then? It's a great.
You know what's really good as well, though? Like, once you start doing that, you start asking like normal questions, and you create a conversation.
Yeah,
even walking into the interview, what you should do is you research your interviewers. So if you was interviewing me, John, I know like you like cricket. Yeah. I'd be walking from the interview room from reception up to the interview room. I'd be saying, I was watching the cricket last night. Are you into cricket, John? And you're definitely going to go, oh, yeah, that was great. And then we got affinity bias. We got rapport going. As we walk into that room together, chatting, smiling and laughing, the other interview panel see this great relationship. They go, oh, I want to be part of that great relationship as well. So you create this positive start. And then you can have a conversation.
I thought you were going to say wear my whites and put my cricket kit on. Because I was going to say that'd be a great way to turn up to an interview, mate. That is my ideal interviewer.
It's better than wearing sandals and shorts.
Yeah, it is, mate. I think I'd have had more chance of getting the job. If I'd have turned up in my cricket whites and my cricket bat, I think I'd have had more chance of getting the job.
Well, there is one technique called peacocking, where when you wear, outrageous clothes, but you kind of like you're in the limelight and people remember you. So there is a technique where you can kind of wear like, something that makes you a bit more memorable. Yeah,
I love that. So what does the future look like for Chris? What's your what is it, in your eyes, how does this all roll out from now? Obviously you've got a book out, you've got, you're on this path. I bet you've got clients. How's it all rolling going forward?
Yeah, well, my passion is always helping people. So I do like the anxiety stuff, I do the interview stuff, I write books and do workshops and all that. So everything I do really is my value is helping people. So that's all of what I do. So I'll be doing more of that sort of stuff in the future. I'm sure there'll be more books or more seminars and workshops or whatever. But I'll probably write another play as well, because I really enjoyed that whole experience of creating a play, directing it, having to market it, something completely new, never done it before. And I always think like it's something, when you're really good at stuff, you tend to do it over and over and over again. But what you need to inject into your life all the time is a little bit of variety, a little bit of creativity. You also need a little bit of fear. So you need to do stuff that makes you a little bit fearful. This is why you should embrace the fear of job interviews as well, by the way, because fear creates excitement. So I always try and challenge myself and do new random creative projects.
Yeah, I love that, mate. I love that. Well, we've come to the end of the podcast. So I got three final questions that I ask all my I was just about to say podcast victims then, but I shouldn't say that. I won't have anyone in my next series if I call them that. But so on to my first question then of the three. So what are the three? I stole this, by the way. I mean, we all plagiarized me. I nicked this one from the High Performance podcast, but I loved it. But so what's the three non-negotiables to enter into Chris's world and in Chris's life? What's the three non-negotiables that you held by?
You have to be happy and joyful. I just hate people who have a negative side of life. So all my friends are like positive, happy, joyful. We always have bad days, but you got to be happy and joyful and positive. The other thing as well, you got to value helping people. That's everything I'm about is helping people, and people who those mood hoovers who just want to suck the fun out of everything. It's like a no for me. You got to be wanting to support and help. And for me as well, like I just love people who push and challenge me. Especially like those two friends who I do the public speaking with. They criticize everything I do, but in a very positive way to help me be the best version of me.
Yeah, that's great, mate. That's great. And then biggest life lesson so far then. So biggest life lesson for yourself so far?
It's what you said right at the beginning, like you got to crack on with it. Our life is so short on this earth, isn't it? You spend a third of your life asleep, a third of your life in work, and then a third of life doing the things that you want to do. But between the ages of 0 and 8, you don't really remember much of that life, do you? And when you're a lot older and potentially you might be in a care home or something like that, then that's not like the main part of your life either. So this big middle bit, you should crack on, take opportunities, go for things, set yourself new challenges, new goals, and live your life to the full.
I love that. That's right on the button for me as well. Right, so last question. If you had a chance to go back and speak to, let's just talk about Chris when he was, before he was that forklift driver. What sort of bit of advice would you give him?
But I always think about this. I always think about my life, because I always think my early life, I was nervous, I was anxious, I did dyslexia, I had all these like barriers, low self-esteem, negative self-talk, all this rubbish in my head.
Yeah.
But I think though, without going through that experience, I wouldn't be doing what I did today. I think I use that to motivate and push me now, and especially because I'm like a lifelong learner. That became because I wasn't into education. I bet I wouldn't write a book if I could read when I was younger. So I think I wouldn't give me any advice. I think I'd just tell my friends to encourage me, because I think that experience has been a stepping stone into my success.
Yeah, I love that. Because actually we only are right here now, us two talking to each other from whatever we've done. And if we hadn't have done all those things that, like you said to you earlier on, about me having to, lose my business and nearly lose my house, if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't be sat here now. When I walked across the seafront to come here today, because I'm right on the sea, I just thought, bloody hell, I'm in a good place here. And that's exactly the right thing, mate, is that you wouldn't be here without all those experiences.
Yeah, definitely. I always think as well, like when you're kind of feeling a bit sorry for yourself in your life, think about how lucky you are to be on this earth. Think about like we all came from either Adam and Eve or the two monkeys or whatever you believe in. We all came from this like two people, didn't we? So all the millions of sperms, that sperm was lucky enough to go into that particular egg. And then think about all the diseases that we had throughout all the hundreds of thousands of years of living here. Think about all the wars that we had as well. Think about how people lived in poverty and died on the streets, how hundreds and thousands and millions of people died from like cancer, just getting knocked over crossing the road. Think about how lucky it was for your great grandparents to meet each other. If one person turned left instead of turning right, they wouldn't have met. And then their sperms and their eggs and all their diseases and all there was millions and millions of different chances for you not to be on this earth. But you are here. You are so special. You should get that special part of you and live your life to the full.
I love that. And I think just on that note, mate, I'm going to end this podcast because I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I've sat here with a smile on my face all the way through it. I really appreciate your time, mate, especially this early in the morning. To get a podcast done by 8 o'clock in the morning is my new record. So I'm sure I'll beat it in the future, but that's a great one. But thanks ever so much for coming on, and massive good luck. I am going to go and get that book, and massive good luck with the future.
Thanks, John. It's been great fun.
Yeah, great. Have a great day. Cheers, Chris. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. I mean, Chris actually reached out to me. Not many of the podcasters have reached out, but he reached out. I've got a real, as we went through in the podcast, a real NLP, hypnotherapy backing. I fully believe in it, fully understand the benefit of it because it's what I've been trained in. But what I really found interesting with Chris was, he's got a journey and he's taken it into a great niche. We spoke a bit off camera regarding people that get anxious with going into interviews. And if you do, and you are that person, then reach out to Chris, reach out to me. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just, it can be worked on. Anything in your life that's got a little bit of, you've got to go over something to get there, get over it, climb over it, but just ask for help because there's people out there that can help you get over that. And you could land your dream job. Why be stuck in a job that you're sick and tired of doing when actually there's so much opportunity out there in this world? All you've got to do is just see it from a different angle. And what I love about Chris is he does that. He makes you do that. I loved it. Really enjoyed it. That was the end of the series. Looking forward to bringing series 4 together. So that's going to come out in the next 4 weeks. But thanks ever so much for listening. If you get any chance, go back in www.crackonpodcast.com. Go into all the last 3 series, and there's some absolute gems in there. So anyway, have a great one and crack on. Crack on.